Goodbye, Dragon Inn. Goodbye, Dragon Inn. That's right, folks. Man, what an episode we're doing this week. I don't know why I chose this one. It's a film that's been on my list for a while. Sometimes you just have like that file of like movies you know you want to watch, but you never have the time. Sporadically, I'll cross one off the list. This series gives me an excuse to do that. Such is the case with Ming-Liang Tsai's film Goodbye Dragon Inn. And now, Ming-Liang Tsai, not a director I know too much about. He is a Malaysian Taiwanese filmmaker who kind of came up in like the same era of some like the other big guys that did stuff there. I think Ong Lee's like a big person of his generation. So, that kind of stuff. He didn't really cross over to America that much. This might be the most well-known of his movies. I'm not too sure about that. It's interesting. This is a very interesting film. I do like it. I actually think it's a very interesting work. Like, this is the type of film that when a filmmaker says, I'm going to make this, you're like, oh, I'm interested in that. We've seen a lot of this type of movie. On this channel, we've talked about Cinema Paradiso, which is in a similar vein, which is kind of about like a movie theater and like watching movies and the experience of it. But this is more like a sad movie than that. That one's still sad. This is more sad in terms of like, I don't know, just movies. They're not what they used to be, are they? So this movie is about a movie theater. It is a cinema that is closing and it's playing its final movie that is Dragon Inn. Now, Dragon Inn is actually a real movie. It is a 1967 Wuxia film, which is pretty interesting. Not one I've seen. I was like, should I do a companion piece and watch that movie? I don't think you need to watch that to get this. But they play clips from the actual movie. They primarily use dialogue from that movie as like the background noise for this movie. Actors who appear in Dragon Inn also appear in Goodbye Dragon Inn. They play themselves because this is about a theater that is closing in the final screening and the events that transpire in between those moments. A couple of things we should note right off the bat. This is a Taiwanese film. It is not in English, and it is a very specifically paced movie. It's 81 minutes long with credits, and still I sit here and tell you that if your attention span cannot wait on those types of things, maybe this is not the one for you. And I hate to say that because, one, this movie is really short, and two, it's an interesting watch. But we hold on scenes for a long time. And if you are somebody who doesn't like that or can't handle that, where you're like, why are we spending 30 seconds watching this one thing? The camera's not even moving. The actors are barely moving. Why are we doing that? It could upset you. That doesn't bother me. I like a very atmospheric, like sour kind of story about just the crumblings of a place. Like that's really interesting to me. So I can buy that and be a part of that. But even someone like me who takes the time to experience world cinema and wants to engross himself in this, there are moments where I am just like, I wonder why we spent the extra 6 to 7 seconds on this sequence. Would we lose anything taking those away? Or did we need to pad this just a little bit to get that runtime to the 80-minute mark so it's a real movie? I wonder. Because there is a lot of that. And that is not a criticism. Not a criticism. I understand the need to do that. It's about being in like this dour setting. Just everything's kind of like broken and not perfect. And people are just kind of like there. And they do that thing. And this movie's just about like how you experience a movie theater. And I love that kind of stuff. I love when a director talks about movies. And in particular, I love when a director talks about movie theaters. Like I said, we did Cinema Paradiso very recently. And that's just like, look at how much love and joy we have for this stuff. And this one is more like, movies aren't what they used to be. Everyone's kind of bitter on them. And no one's really enjoying themselves. It's like closing. It looks sad. There's just like old stuff hanging on the walls, cardboard cutouts that are taken down, just boxes upon boxes of just reels and whatever, just all over the place. Like nobody is enjoying themselves here, you know? You have two people that work there that we do follow a bit of their story. You have, like, I guess the woman who works, like, the front counter, does all, like, the ticket sales and stuff. She's kind of got, like, a limp leg, and she's also, like, the janitor and cleans up, just works, like, a generic job. And all of her sequences are just, like, watching this person go from room to room, clean it up a little bit, just experience stuff, eat some food, eat, like, a loaf of a bun or something, and just have that experience. And then you have the projectionist who just kind of like shows up, starts smoking, is just kind of like, I like movies, but this isn't what movies are anymore. And it's so weird because you're just like, this is really sad and depressing. And we're watching like this woman walk down a hallway for a full 30 seconds. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm not feeling good after this. It is kind of a comedy. It lists itself as a comedy, I guess. There are jokes in it. Primarily, we follow like this young man who is kind of scouring the cinema for some action, quote unquote. This is what I saw on the Wikipedia. He's looking for a homosexual experience. So he's kind of walking around trying to see like what he can get. Sometimes that's like watching a young couple eat a bunch of chicken inside the theater. It makes him upset. Sometimes when he sits too close to a certain man, he's trying to like move slightly to imply that. It's interesting at the least. And he is kind of where like the most comedy comes from, just like trying to walk around. People are in his way. He's using a urinal. It's like busy all around him. Dude can't be alone and dude can't catch a break trying to score what he's after. And it leads to him like encountering like a random guy as they're smoking, and he gets kind of close, but the guy's like, you're reading into this wrong. And he's just kind of upset, and he runs back into the theater, and then like this girl is there, this pretty girl who's got her feet hanging off one of the chairs, and she drops her shoe, and she's like, I would be okay with this. And he runs away because he can't handle what she could be offering. So that's the movie. That's basically the movie. What I just said to you is basically the movie. Of course, it's more than that. It's just a loving homage to a cinema, which is really cool to see. The lights of the projection of just like what we're displaying, it's so cool to see that. And the red chairs all around. It looks like a nice old cinema. And then, like, towards the end, we're introduced to a couple of other characters. You have this old man who is there with his grandson. And then you have, like, this one more middle-aged to older actor, I will say, who's watching Dragon Inn, and he starts to cry. And then the end of the movie with those two, they confront each other because they know each other. Like, hey, did you like the movie? Yeah, I did. But, you know, nobody really goes to movies these days. And they're like, there's like 14 people maybe in this theater. No one's really doing anything. It's like an old building. And you realize that this man who was crying and this grandfather are real actors. They're playing themselves. The guy that plays the one actor, the guy that plays the one that was crying, is actually in the movie Dragon Inn, and he's watching his performance. And I'm like, oh, man, that's crazy. I can't imagine being like a Taiwanese audience member. He's like, this guy's talking about how things are different now, and he's watching a movie about himself that he can't make anymore. And you're like, damn, that's sad. That's kind of crazy and weird. Very depressing in a sense. It's very strange. But I kind of respect that. I respect the director that's just like, yeah, cinema's changing. The movies I liked, we don't make anymore. And it's just kind of sad to see the state of a movie theater, just broken and decrepit and dreary. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That is true. That is what is happening here. Long takes. And that is going to tire some people. I'm fine with it. I respect it so much for something like this happening. It is just watching people in a cinema. The movie's over. They leave. We clean up. We go home. There is some tenderness at the end where our woman leaves behind some food for the projectionist, and then they just go on with their lives as if this is it. And it's sad and kind of pleasant at the same time. Beautiful shots. The setups are always gorgeous because we have to make it look tight-knit and like we're in a movie theater the whole time. So it's really cool to see that. Just a movie that loves movies and respects cinema, but also says, hey, this is just the way things go sometimes. We can work all we want to try to be happy and pleasant, but things just end, and then you're forced to do something else. Goodbye, Dragon Inn. I was thinking about this too. Like, if this would be the equivalent, I'd imagine, of like if David Lowery said, "I'm gonna make a movie called Goodbye Beetlejuice." That's what this would feel like, even like American terms today. That's kind of funny. It's interesting. A very interesting movie. I say check it out. Like, there is something here that's very compelling if you can focus on it. We have this is a broad thing to say, but we have a generation that's not really good at like having a good attention span. So if you can't really hone in on this movie, I do get that. But when you do hone in, it's beautiful to look at. That's going to do it for this episode. I don't think there's anything else I really need to say about this one. Goodbye Dragon Inn's really cool. Thank you all for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.